Divine Echoes Daily Devotional, Wednesday, February 19, 2025. Topic: God is on his throne. God is on his throne. Scripture reference: Psalm 11, 1 to 4. Psalm 11, 1 to 4. Main text: Psalm 11, 4. Psalm 11, 4. The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes see, his eyelids test the children of man. Echoes: God is on his throne. One of the greatest truths in Scripture is that God is sovereign. He is not just on the throne, He is the throne. His authority, power, and majesty are the very foundation of all creation. If we understand this, our lives will be transformed. God is all powerful and in control of all things. God is on his throne, ruling and reigning over all things. The Bible often speaks of God's throne as a symbol of his power, authority, and sovereignty. This means that God's throne is not limited to a physical location, but is a spiritual reality that transcends the earthly realm. God's throne is a place of majesty, power, and glory, where he sits in judgment and rules over all things. God's throne is not limited to heaven. His rule extends to the entire universe. Daniel 4:35. He does according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. If God is truly on the throne, then nothing happens outside his control. Even when we do not understand, we can trust that his rule is perfect. The fact that God is in control, is on his throne, means that he is sovereign over all things. He is the one who created the universe and all that is in it, and he is the one who sustains and governs it. Revelation 4:2 describes the throne as a set in heaven. This means God's rule is established, unshakable, and eternal. Unlike human rulers who rise and fall, God's authority is never threatened. Psalm 103:19. The Lord has established his throne in heaven, and his kingdom rules over all. This means that God's sovereignty is not limited to a particular domain or territory, but extends to all creation. God's throne is also a reminder of his omnipresence. This means that God is not just a distant ruler, but is intimately involved in the lives of his people. He sees all things, knows all things, and is present everywhere. The fact that God is on his throne also means that he is a God of justice. In Psalm 9:4, we read that you have sat on your throne, judging righteously. God is a fair and just judge who rewards the righteous and punishes the wicked. The truth that God is on his throne brings comfort and hope to believers. It reminds us that we are not alone in the world, but have a sovereign God who is in control of all things. It reminds us that God is our rock, our refuge, and our Redeemer, who will guide and protect us through all the challenges of life. In Psalm 23:4, we read that even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff. comfort me. Jesus is seated on the throne at the right hand of majesty. Hebrew 1:3. Jesus sitting on the throne means his work is finished and he reigns with all authority. If we believe this, we will not live in fear. Instead, we will approach life with confidence in his rule. The throne is the source of grace and judgment. Hebrew 4:16. Conclusion: God is the throne. He is the unshakable foundation of all things. His rule is sovereign, his presence is powerful, and his throne is both a place of grace and judgment. Are we living under his rule, or are we still trying to control our own lives? Are we living in a submission to God's throne, or are we rejecting his authority? Let us respond with worship, trust, and surrender. Let us live as people who know that God is on the throne now and forever. The fact that God is on his throne is a fundamental truth that brings hope and comfort to believers. It reminds us of God's sovereignty, omnipresence, and justice, and encourages us to trust in Him and rely on Him for all things. May we be strengthened and encouraged by the knowledge that God is on His throne, ruling and reigning over all things. May we trust in Him and rely on Him, knowing that He is our rock, our refuge, and our Redeemer. Prayer points. Father, I thank you because you are on the throne and your rule is unshakable. Thank you that no power, no situation, and no enemy can overthrow your authority. Father, I acknowledge that you are the throne, the foundation of all things. Help me to live in submission to your rule, to trust in your sovereignty, and to worship you in awe. Lord, I surrender every area of my life to your throne. Rule over my heart, my thoughts, and my actions. Let your will be done in my life, my family, the church, and my nation as it is in heaven. Father, even when I do not understand my situation, I trust that you are still on the throne and in control. Help me to walk by faith and not by sight, knowing that you are ruling over all things for my good. Lord, I come boldly to your throne of grace today. I ask for mercy, strength, and guidance in every area of my life. Father, because you are on the throne, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Let your throne be a covering over my family, my home, and all that concerns me. Lord, I exalt you as the King of kings and the Lord of lords. You alone are worthy of all praise. Let my life reflect my worship of you, and may I live each day in reverence of your throne. Jesus is Lord. Christ Rebirth Covenant Mission International.